All right, we got Dale in Queensland. Thanks for waiting.
How you going, Matt?
Hello.
You hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yep.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. My question is to you, Matt, is do you believe that you're an atheist?
Yes. That's the label. That's one of the labels that I use. Yeah.
Well, this is my question to you. You cannot believe you're an atheist because atheists do not have a belief system.
No.
You are
No, that's not.
atheist. Checkmate.
Dale, that's not true. The fact that atheism is not a belief system doesn't mean that atheists don't have beliefs.
As people.
I have lots of beliefs, and all that is separate from whether or not atheism is a belief system, which it's not. I can believe I'm an atheist for the same reason I can believe I'm a male. Male is not a belief system either.
So why would some atheists say that atheism is a lack of belief?
Atheism is a lack of belief in God claims, not a lack of belief in anything.
All right. Cool. I've got other questions too. All right. Just bear with me. Matt, does it require? Is faith required to be an atheist?
No.
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 So faith wouldn't be required for you to be an atheist, wouldn't it?
No, faith is not required to be an atheist.
So if you believe you're an atheist, then how can you say you got no faith that you're an atheist? To me, it's not logical, because belief and having faith are the same thing. Don't you agree?
No, I don't agree. Faith is the reason that people give for having a belief when they don't have good reasons. Faith is not a belief. It's the attempted justification that people offer for a belief. You can believe all sorts of things, and you can believe them for good reasons, and you can believe them for bad reasons. I choose to believe things for good reasons. Well, I don't even think I choose to believe. I think I'm forced by rationality to believe things for good reasons, or to prefer to believe things for good reasons. So I'm an atheist, which simply means I do not believe that a God exists. I don't have to have faith to believe that. It's the default position, by the way. Somebody claims, hey, a God exists, and my default position is, I don't believe it. Can you prove it?
It's like the Bigfoot thing. If you say, I don't believe a Bigfoot exists,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I don't have other beliefs or in other things. It just means I don't believe that.
Do you believe that?
Do I believe?
In Bigfoot?
No, I don't.
Well, how come it's shown on TV shows like Unsolved Mysteries?
Because it's an unsolved mystery? If it was solved, then you'd have a justification to believe it.
It's shown on TV, Bigfoot and that. You can't, yeah. My next question is...
Wait, Dale?
Yeah?
Do you believe Bigfoot exists?
No, not really.
It's shown on TV.
Yeah, even though it's shown on TV, I need to see where in history Bigfoot actually exists.
Does it take faith to not believe in Bigfoot?
Sorry?
Does it take faith not to believe in Bigfoot?
It takes disbelief, unbelief.
But that's not faith, right?
That's unbelief.
Right, so it's like unfaith.
It's unbelieving, right?
Right, so it's
like
not faith. It's not faith, it's unbelief, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So you already understand all this stuff. You already understand the exact same examples we've given.
Matt, Christians have faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think most of them would, yeah.
All right. Is atheism based on truth or fact?
I think you answered it before. It's based on unbelief.
Oh, so atheism is based on unbelief then?
Yes.
Atheism is disbelief
Right.
of the God claims. It's not a position that is based. Well, the reason that I'm an atheist is because I'm a skeptic and a critical thinker. And when I am presented with the claim a God exists, and I evaluate the evidence supporting that claim, I find the evidence lacking. So I persist in my disbelief. I don't need to have evidence that there isn't a God in order to be justified.
Just like you don't need evidence there's not a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You would need evidence there is a Bigfoot, right? You don't need evidence there's not a Bigfoot to not believe it. You need evidence there is one to be convinced there is one. Until you get that evidence, you just don't believe it because you haven't gotten the evidence that makes you a believer.
And I'm a little worried at this point, Dale, because we've had a little back and forth and questions and things, and we've answered them. And it seems almost like you're reading from a script where one question necessarily follows from an expected answer from the previous one, and you're not getting the expected answers.
But he does seem to be listening to our answers. I'll give you that.
So I'm a good listener. I'll let you speak in that. I just got another question, Matt. I've been watching your Atheist Experience videos, and I noticed that you said you were a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I want to know here from you, is when you prayed, did you pray according to God's word, yes or no?
Yes.
So you had faith that God would answer your prayer?
Yes.
So if you had faith that God would answer your prayers, would you say now that you have faith in God?
No, I'd say that I used to believe based on faith, and it was irrational of me to do so, and when I discovered that, I couldn't believe any longer.
How did you discover that?
How did I discover what?
That it was irrational.
Oh.
That God is not real.
Sure. I spent a couple years in study in the hopes of eventually becoming a minister, and I read some things that specifically challenged my beliefs. And then when I went to go seek answers, both from other believers and in prayer and in reading, and I found that the things that I assumed to be true for my entire life, or the things that I had been led to believe were true, were based on really bad evidence, logical fallacies, and so the next step of this was, okay, well maybe some of these people just don't really have great arguments for it. There must be some good argument for it. But failing to find one of those, the only position that is available at that point is to not believe. If you care about what's true, and that was one of the critical things, was saying, I don't want to believe something just because I've always believed it, or because my family believes it, or because it kind of felt real to me at some time, or because I would prefer that it's true. I want to believe things because they're actually true. And if we can't demonstrate that it's true, then we shouldn't believe it.
My next question, I'll move on. All right. Matt, why do atheists not believe in God when atheists talk about God?
Sorry, one more time?
Because other people have a concept of God. We're responding to other people's claims about God.
The same reason that people who don't believe in Bigfoot
talk about Bigfoot. Yeah.
Well, atheists say there is no God. Well, guess what, Matt? If an atheist says to me there is no God, guess what?
What?
Atheistic evangelist Al Gallen would say to the atheist who says that there is no God, I would say, hey, stop right there. Stop right there. The first two words you said were there is before you said no God, so there is a God.
Seriously?
There is no Bigfoot means there is a Bigfoot?
There is.
Yes.
First of all, Dale, atheism is not necessarily the assertion that there is no God. Atheism is the disbelief of God claims. Now, it's consistent with atheism for some atheists to say that they believe that there are no gods, but that's a separate proposition. So when you say, an atheist says there is no God, I have to say, no, that's not necessarily true. Just like somebody who doesn't believe in Bigfoot doesn't necessarily claim that there is no Bigfoot. But if you're gonna play a little word game of saying, oh, you said there is no God, and the first two words are there is, then there must be a God. That's crazy.
Here's the thing. Like
it's basically, it's not crazy. It's just saying there is. You acknowledge God before you even say no God. So in one concept, the concept that I got was there is no God. Well, there is because you said there is, and then you say no God.
Right, you
so
negate
the word
it.
no is in there.
There's the thing, though, Dale. What you need to do is on your list of questions, plug in Bigfoot instead of God and see how they work. And if they don't fly with Bigfoot, then skip to the next question. If somebody says there is no Bigfoot, I think clearly you understand they are not saying there is a Bigfoot, right? I mean, you do understand that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't do the same thing with God that you wouldn't do with Bigfoot. So,
But
you know,
I'm just correcting
There's a soundbite.
what
Straws.
atheists is, because they had to say the first two words were there is before they said no God.
same with Bigfoot. But you know that a person saying there is no Bigfoot does not mean there is a Bigfoot.
Hey, you know what? I can also say no gods exist. I didn't start with there is, I started with no. So clearly, no gods exist. I'm right, right?
You said you know.
No, I didn't say I know. I said no gods
Yeah.
exist. N-O, as in none.
All right. So, I'll move on. Thanks for trying to answer my question.
Sure.
My question, Matt, have you ever, so I hear from some atheists that they know that they're an atheist, but the one thing is you got the agnostics and the atheists. You got the agnostics say that there might be a God, and the atheists say there is no God. How do you define the two?
Okay, first of all, assuming I'm not being punked for some show, the difference between Gnosticism and agnosticism address what you know or claim to know. Theism and atheism address what you believe or claim to believe. They're not mutually exclusive terms because knowledge is a subset of belief. So you could be an agnostic theist, a Gnostic theist, an agnostic atheist, and a Gnostic atheist. Any of those would be valid to say that I believe there's a God and I know there's a God, or I believe there's a God but I don't know there's a God, or I don't believe there's a God but I don't claim to know that, which is the position that most atheists are fine with. And then there's the I don't believe there's a God and I know that there's no God. And that position, depending on your definition of knowledge, may not be sound. But these aren't mutually exclusive terms, and it's not something that you can say, oh, atheists say there's no God, and agnostics say there might possibly be a God. The correct thing would be to say that atheists don't believe there's a God, and agnostics, at least some categories of agnostics, just don't want to claim what they do or don't believe.
All right. Thanks for that. Another question, Matt. Have you ever read the Bible, like from Genesis to Revelation?
Yeah, several times.
Tell me, how many times have you read the Bible?
Why?
Why? It's because every time I read the Bible, I pick up something new every time I read it.
Me too. And that's why the first time when I read it when I was a younger kid is slightly different from when I read it when I was older, and then when I read it in this process of transitioning from wanting to be a minister to ultimately ending up in atheism, I found out new things. Things that I had previously read or thought that I had read just didn't stick. So I've probably read it well, I can't really say in single sitting, cover to cover. I would guess 3 times, but the bulk of it, we're talking, I was a fundamentalist Christian for 25 plus years, and by the way, in the last 10, 11 years that I've been an atheist, I continue to read the Bible in order to be able to answer questions for the Christians who don't know what the Bible says.
Wow, that's pretty amazing coming from you.